Buckle up, we're hitting the road talking infrastructure. Many roads and bridges across the country have some serious problems. The government wants to spend more than $1 trillion to fix them. That includes tens of thousands considered structurally deficient. But how real is the danger that something like this 2007 Minnesota bridge collapse could happen again because of our crumbling infrastructure? But it's not just about land. We've come to a dam set to open after 30 years and $3 billion. It's America's largest inland waterway project ever. Why did it take so long and cost so much? We're putting our foot on the gas and taking a complete look at infrastructure as we speed towards November. This is The Race. Welcome to The Race, I'm Chris Stewart, and every week we're diving into the issues that are going to matter to you come the November midterm elections. And this week, we're all about infrastructure, how we get to where we want to go, what powers our homes and businesses, and in the case of the Olmsted Locks and Dam project behind me here on the Ohio River, how goods are shipped through and across America. Now, we'll be talking about this massive infrastructure project and why it's so important throughout the show, but we want to start with our Nicole Vowell traveling by car, by plane, and by train this week, and she starts us off in Rhode Island, the smallest state with the biggest problems when it comes to roads and bridges.
Bad roads.
Chris, are you done with that one?
Keep people like Dale Aguirre.
Did you have another customer waiting in there?
In business.
Probably do 45 to 50 cars a day. Tires, alignments.
And you can find plenty of aging infrastructure around his shop here in Rhode Island. This tiny part of New England only spans about 1,500 square miles, is one of the oldest states, and is made up of 33% water, meaning roads and bridges are fighting a tough battle to stay intact.
1 in 4 of their bridges is structurally deficient.
Casey Dinges, director of the American Society of Civil Engineers, says that means the safety standards are ramped up.
That bridge will be inspected every year instead of the standard every 2 years.
The Ocean State may be facing the most worries, but Dinges says overall the U.S. just isn't that strong structurally. Last year, Rhode Island earned a dismal D+ infrastructure rating, meaning
we've been deferring maintenance and underinvesting in our infrastructure for decades.
This is a pretty common sight here. Bridges shut down to be repaired or rebuilt. And of the nearly 800 bridges here, about 200 of them are considered structurally deficient, costing taxpayers millions of dollars to fix.
The level of underinvestment that we have costs every family in the United States $9 a day.
The overall goal, Dinges says, is for big and little government to get on board and invest over the next 10 years to upgrade the U.S.
Their allocations for what the state needs has not been enough.
And even though the average driver pays people like Dale more than $800 per year here for car repairs, he says he'd rather see rebuilds more than his own revenue to make the place he calls home a better and safer place to be. For The Race, I'm Nicole Vowell.
Now, when you're talking about infrastructure, you have to talk about how you're going to be able to pay for these projects, because it's your tax dollars in many cases that are used to fund infrastructure projects. Corey Rangel taking a look at how both Republicans and Democrats approach these deals.
President Donald Trump has proposed a $1 trillion plan to improve aging roads, bridges, and tunnels across the country. All things Democrats want to see too. Transportation Secretary Elaine Chao told Fortune there's one major bump in the road between the two parties.
How do you pay for it is the toughest question. So there are many ways of paying for the infrastructure proposal, and I would say the majority of them are not ones that probably I can get consensus within this audience.
One way Republicans want to raise money will impact most Americans directly.
Some of the solutions that Republicans have proposed are a gas tax increase and a diesel tax increase of about 15 cents a gallon for, I believe, for gas and 20 cents for diesel to help fund this, because we do need to fund infrastructure upgrades. We can't, make the money appear out of thin air.
Republicans also want to raise money by letting private sector businesses help finance projects. Meanwhile, Democrats have come up with their own $1 trillion plan.
And we demo, you say, where's the money going to come from? We don't want to increase our deficit. Tax bill's done that enough. We say take some of those tax breaks from the wealthiest of Americans and put them into middle-class jobs. Plain and simple.
Democrats want to increase the tax rate on the rich, raise corporate income tax, and reverse cuts to the estate tax. But Democrats admit, as of now, their plan has little chance of going anywhere.
These are all ideological steps that the Democrats are taking because they don't control the House or the Senate.
Both sides agree they don't expect any action to be taken on infrastructure until after the midterm elections, where we could get a better idea of which party's plan could have a better shot at passing. For The Race, I'm Corey Rangel.
Now, with the politics of building infrastructure comes the red tape. But how long does it really take to build a road, rail, or a pipeline? Here's Kamasi Aaron with a fact check.
We've heard time and time again about how federal projects get held up with so much bureaucracy. Highway construction can often feel like it's never ending. But how long does it actually take to get a permit to build a road in the first place? Our partners at PolitiFact found several studies that show it just takes a little less than 5 years, but it did get worse before it got better. Federal Highway Administration studies found the time it took to get a permit in the 1970s was only around 2 years, up to 4.5 years in the 80s, 5 years in the late 90s, and 6.5 years in 2011. Earlier this year, a member of the Trump administration said he hoped to get that number back down to 2 years. But for now, PolitiFact says just under 5 years is a magic number to get that permit to start building. I'm Kamasi Aaron for The Race.
Still to come on The Race, we're going to be talking about this massive infrastructure project behind us here on the Ohio River. Why the people working on this project say the 3 decades and $3 billion it's taken to get to this point has all been worth it.